Hello everyone, Colin here for Woodwork Web. No, I'm not going incognito. You know, I've always wanted to make some wooden sunglasses. So this week we're doing a prototype. These aren't going to be like finished glasses. I just want to see if it's possible to make these. So I'm going to muddle my way through this. So join us while we try and make some sunglasses. These are just inexpensive glasses from the dollar store, but the first thing we need to do is to pop the lenses out, and hopefully they're just going to pop out. And I'm just using, I don't want to mar them any more than possible, so I'm just using this. Yeah, they just pop right out. Well, I found a selection of a few different woods, and I think what I'll do is cut blanks of a few of these, because all of these will work, and I'll just cut some thin strips. So what I have here is something called Y-E-W. You can see it's a very nice thin grain. This is a softwood, grows locally around here. This is something called Gary oak, and it's one of the white oak from the white oak family. And again, you can see nice straight grain there for me to work with. This is a hardwood, this is a softwood, this is a conifer. And the last one here is holly. And I have some bits of holly. This is kind of it is a soft or a hardwood, but it's still fairly soft. And I just thought it would be kind of a nice wood to work with. So I'm going to start cutting up some of these. We'll cut up some blanks. Okay, we're at the table saw, and what I need to do is cut some thin strips. And that bar is 3/16 of an inch. I use that as my measuring bar. And normally you would use this and set the fence, but it's really hard to get thin strips of wood to go through there. So what we do, I have this little jig that I've made up, and these are those magnetic clamp things. When you twist that, there's a magnet inside that goes down, it grabs onto the steel so that it doesn't move. And I have two of those. So what I do with that is just put the bar against the saw blade and just hold it like that. Then this I can move over and butt that bolt up against that, and I now know that that bolt is 3/16 of an inch. So now I can cut my wood by simply bringing it over, butt it up against that. Now I have to be careful to reset the fence each time, and there's a little bit of, it takes a little bit of adjustment. There it is there. So that's up against the bolt, and it's up against the fence, and I just need to push that through now. I think it's possible to make a little jig that this would fit in. So you'd have a piece of wood, the jig underneath where this will fit in. Then you could put your wood that you're going to cut out on top, and you'd have to cut a couple of holes through it. Then you could use a pattern bit, and the pattern bit would be underneath. Okay, that's looking good. That works well. I'm pretty happy with the way that's working. But now what I need to do, because I need to sandwich this in here, I need to make another one on top. So there's our jig. There's the top that I just cut out, and that's going to fit on top, just like that. But as it turns out, the holly had a knot in and some extra wood on here, and it just happens to be the same thickness as what I need for this top part, the sandwich part, to go onto. So what I'm going to do now is just glue these strips on the back of this. Well, and there's why we do testing. This one turned out just fine, but this one, the router bit actually rode up the bearing. There's a little bit of play in these bearings, which I didn't really realize. And because it's such a thin area, it rode up a little bit, and it destroyed. Get that out of there. And it actually ate away the frame. So that's what we have. So it's kind of back to the drawing board. Well, since we destroyed that first piece of wood, let's move on to the next piece of wood, and this is the holly that we cut. And I just want to mark a line, hard to see, but what I need to do now is to cut a little slot all the way along the inside here where that pencil's showing. And to do that, I've installed one of these little cutting wheels, like that, in my rotary tool. And you can see that there, but I've also installed this mechanism. I guess it's kind of like a fence. Okay, well, here's the moment of truth. Here's my lens. Getting a little dusty down here. Let's see if that'll pop in there. Well, as I'm cutting up and sanding this holly, unless when you see little pieces of it, it almost looks like plastic. It doesn't even look like wood. I wish I'd have gone with another piece of the yew or even the oak. At least it looks like wood. Anyway, it's just a prototype. You have to keep reminding myself of that. What I'm going to do now is use my compass and just put some body around this frame, and then I'll cut that out. I'll just do a little bit of cleanup on the sander now. Well, at this point I'm abandoning the sunglass prototype. And that's what prototyping is. You know, you go into these things and you never know what they're going to turn out like, and that's why we do prototyping, is so we see what these things look like. But you know, I learned some really good things, and the first thing that I learned, remember I started off with the wood. The wood looked really good and it was nice. Unfortunately, partway through it cracked, and so I had to move on to the next piece. And unfortunately, I picked the holly instead of picking another. I had some oak, but I picked the holly just for some, I don't know what reason. And holly doesn't have much of a grain. It looks like plastic, so if you're going to make wooden sunglasses, you need to make it out of wood that looks like wood, not holly that looks more like plastic than it looks like wood. The other thing I found is that when you're carving the lenses, these lenses that I bought, and I should have clued in, they're just dollar store sunglasses, you know, $1.50 or something. And the lenses are curved, but they're curved in 2 angles, so they never actually lay flat. And they're quite rigid, so they don't bend very well at all. So you really need to look at the lenses that you're using so that when you see them, they want to be flat on all surfaces. And when you look at sunglasses, you notice they've got a little bit of a curve. That didn't bother me at all because I knew with these sunglasses I could bend the wood a little bit so that I could actually make these have a little bit of an arc to them rather than being flat. So that didn't bother me. Making the arms was pretty easy. Trying to fit the lenses in was a little bit of a pain, harder than I thought. And in the end, I really didn't like the design. I thought they looked just terrible. They're hideous looking things. I don't even know if I just epoxied the arms on. I don't even know if they'll hold. But you know, is that not the ugliest looking sunglasses you ever saw in your life? So anyway, I'm Colin for Woodwork Web. Had a lot of fun making these and learned a lot of things. So if you're ever wondering about some kind of build that you're working on, try and do some prototyping. Even if you do some models, at least it gives you an idea what to do. Don't forget, if you haven't already joined us, we ask you to subscribe, follow us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, and stay tuned because we got lots more builds coming your way.